4 p.m. slate starts with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers.
The surging
Bucks coming
question
off
mark?
what'd you say?
Surging question mark Carolina Panthers?
That's what I was about to say. Look, the Bucks, no doubt about it, win on the road against the New York Giants last week. The Carolina
Yeah.
Panthers, they say that moral victories don't exist in the NFL. I think I watched one last week.
Yeah.
One last week.
If anything qualifies last week.
With everything that I have watched the Carolina Panthers go through over the last 2 years, for them to come within 3 points of the reigning, defending Kansas City Chiefs, and for Bryce Young to look as good as he did last week, which we'll get into a little bit deeper, that's a moral victory in my opinion. Whatever. What's your matchup that matters here now that the Panthers are going to try to string 2 in a row against a divisional foe in the Buccaneers?
It's the one that I'm watching from now until the end of the season because it involves Mike Evans and Mike versus JC Horn. Mike Evans missed some time.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some ground to make up if he wants to have an 11th straight.
Doesn't he have to? Isn't it like 100 yards or something? What's the average now?
He has to average 99.5 yards per game from here on out to get to 1,000.
Casual, very casual.
Very casual. We know that Mike can do it. Also, if I trust anybody to understand the brevity or the gravity of this,
Baker Mayfield.
It's Baker Mayfield. It's absolutely Baker Mayfield. Yeah. Also, who do I trust to just feed Mike Evans the ball with reckless abandon?
Right.
Also Baker Mayfield.
Right.
So,
I mean, look, it's 99.5 yards per game, or
like a 300-yard game,
or 2 300-yard games.
Right.
It's pretty simple, actually. Just 2 300-yard games, and he'll be right there.
I'm not going to put this past Mike Evans, like I said, and Baker Mayfield, but that starts again. Well, I guess it started last week. And he only had 68 yards. And I'm like, that's not going to cut it, Mike.
Nope.
So Mike Evans, JC Horn this season among corners, 56.2 coverage grade. Tied for 77, so maybe there's a little bit of an opportunity. 8 forced incompletions, 6 catches, allowing 15 or more yards on 376 coverage snaps. That's not a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, those 50-50 balls, the ones that Mike Evans just loves, going up to get, the contested catches, that kind of stuff, he's got 31 catches right now for 403 yards. So, let's go. I think that's over, it works out to over a 13-yard per reception average. 13 catches gaining 15. Yeah.
He could do that.
Yeah. 13 catches gaining 15 yards.
JC also needs a big time bounce back game.
Yeah, I don't like that.
He's going to be very motivated because he didn't play particularly great last week.
Right.
And the rest of the team obviously was close. I think he's going to be very motivated. If Mike can get over 100 yards receiving against JC Horn, I mean, you might have a realistic chance. Because for him to average 99.5 receiving yards the rest of the way is an extremely tall task. So the chances are very low. But if you can do that against JC Horn in an opportunity where he's going to be as motivated as ever with them being at home and then playing the way that they did last week, that would go a long way into telling you, I think more importantly, how healthy Mike Evans is. So that is definitely a big-time matchup there. My matchup that matters, Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey are playing really well as a duo on the interior. I just talked about T'Vondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, I was going
to say, Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey are playing great as well. Last week, Vea, 79.9 pass rush grade, 26.1 pass rush win percentage. Kancey, 73.1 pass rush grade, 17.4% pass rush win percentage. The Carolina Panthers interior offensive line and just offensive line in general has been better this season, but this is a formidable foe for them to try to get in front of and block because, Bryce played really well last week, but if you can get interior pressure on Bryce Young and make him escape the pocket and make him throw on the run, that is an area where at the beginning of the season, at least, he really struggled. I think he was better at that at Alabama. So if he's playing with more confidence now than he was at the beginning of the season, maybe we get to see a little bit more of that and have more success there. But that does bring me into the plus factor, which has to be Bryce Young. I don't know if you were going to bring up Bryce Young. But one of us had to because this is the story, right? For as well as the Bucs are playing, and obviously the corners being back and healthy, and how Baker Mayfield played last week, and how Bucky Irving is running the ball, right? I mean, all of these things certainly matter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not trying to say they don't, but Bryce Young's presence and what he was able to do last week that was the closest thing to Alabama Bryce Young that we have seen yet in the NFL. 21 for 35, 261 passing yards, had a passing touchdown, 2 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. But what I love the most, how he passed against single coverage. In single coverage situations, a 90.6 passing grade with 4 big-time throws last week. Previously, Bryce had been afraid to attack single coverage the way that he needed to, genuinely giving his wide receivers a chance in tight coverage. That was not the case last week. He was incredibly confident and most importantly in those single coverage situations. So he's the plus factor because if he plays the way that he did last week, this is going to be a fun game.
Yeah, and you saw, talking about how it looks like he's more confident, you saw him get more confident as that game went on, which seems like the exact opposite of what you'd expect against the Kansas City Chiefs. But you look at his second half passing stats in particular, 11 of 17, 86 yards, 3 of his 4 big time throws came in the second half. And he had 0 turnover worthy plays in the second half. So you talk about that growing confidence. Can you take then that momentum from the second half of that Chiefs game where you did take them down to the wire? Can that spill over into a division matchup that is going to go a long way as far as pride? Of course, it's Dave Canales going against his former team now. There's a couple of other guys that were on that Bucs coaching staff last year that are now going against them. So there's a level of familiarity there as well. Is that going to play into this? But it hinges on if Bryce Young can stay confident against what will be a formidable pass rush when it comes to especially that interior, like you mentioned, in Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey, our dudes.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below. So if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can come one today.